Dude, I hit it like 5 seconds ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of With That Being Said from the Brothers Blue. This is our weekly podcast that we're trying to, kick off. And today we will be talking about some quotes that are from movies and other places. But to get us started, that is Brother Cody.
And that's Brother Kyle. And so the quotes that we actually are going to talk about, we attempted to talk about them on Monday, which is our normal time. And we stupidly put in extended clips from copyrighted shows. And so they obviously got blocked for copyright reasons on YouTube. And so we're just going to be going over the quotes themselves because I took the time out and I wrote them down. And so, yeah, that's what I did. And we can get started with the Eric Andre quote, which is the one we started with last time. His is very, you could almost call it a gish gallop if you watch the video because he talks very fast and he says a lot of big words.
It's one question.
Succession.
It's one question, and it's 4 lines long.
Right, yeah. So, do you ever feel that unregulated capitalism causes democratic institutions to deteriorate and oligopoly imperialism, exasperating support of counter-revolutionary wars and various forms of economic and cultural exploitation?
Yeah. So again, gish gallop is probably a good way to define that quote for sure.
Yeah.
And so we'll start at the beginning, if like we did. So unregulated capitalism is,
we just don't have it.
Well, it isn't real because this is what I like. I literally went over the definition of market capitalism. And so, a market refers to a system where goods and services are exchanged using money as a medium.
You're talking about something that's not in the quote.
Okay, cool.
So unregulated capitalism, that's what I was saying, is like we have the SEC, we have the Federal Reserve. There are institutions in place that regulate the version of capitalism that controls our lives. So it's not unregulated technically.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Because it's a market or because it's not a market?
Because there is no free market capitalism. A free
Correct.
market doesn't exist. That's what I was saying, is that a free market doesn't exist.
Right. Got it. So it's essentially, I get what you're saying. It's essentially the same thing in that they're like this version of capitalism that just doesn't exist.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. So the next part of the quote, democratic institutions, I actually want to talk about this because I did previously. So my hope is that democratic institutions like, the rule of law and mainstream science and things like that have the wherewithal to withstand whatever Congress or president or Supreme Court has to be dealt with. The institutions that we should be putting our trust into hopefully will stay strong enough throughout these times of turmoil.
The problem is that and this goes into the Neil quote that we'll get into later, is that there is a just general distrust among the public of not just democratic institutions, scientific, like academic. Like there are all kinds of institutions that people just have lost their faith in, and I think it's imperative that we take it upon ourselves to try to get people to trust in institutions again, because it literally saves lives.
Yes, right. Yep. Wait, sorry. Were you talking about science or medicine?
Yes.
Sorry. I kind of spaced off because I was looking at the next part of the quote. But I was also, again, we've talked about how my attention span is different than most people's. But anyways, I was thinking that next part is interesting because we haven't talked about this, but it says to deteriorate into oligopoly. I have a hard time with that one. Imperialism. And it's from unregulated capitalism deteriorating into that. And so, what I have recently said to you is that I think what we're experiencing right now is late stage capitalism deteriorating into technocratic feudalism. So, that's a whole different thing. I think
Thank you.
oligopoly imperialism.
Yeah, sorry.
I think that is something that is currently in place as well. So again, I think these are all things that like exist simultaneously. They don't happen in a vacuum, and none of it's binary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say about like an oligopolical imperial society like Russia is literally the like epitomization of that. They have
Yes.
an oligarchy that
Yep.
like basically runs the Russian government. What they're doing to Ukraine is imperialism.
Right. Exactly. 100%. There. It's colonization.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it's imperialism, but I'm just going off the quote. It says oligopoly imperialism.
Yeah. Right.
Russia. That's like literally Russia.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, do you agree with this fact? That's convenient for you. So
Yeah.
I'm saying this to me. But I was also thinking about this earlier because I watched something about the political spectrum and the left-right thing being just like retarded. And actually, there's this essentialist theory of political spectrums that I want to talk to you about at another time. But the left and right, as you know, probably got started in France because literally the people that were for the revolution sat on the left and people who were against the revolution sat on the right. Like, that's how the political spectrum was birthed. And
yeah, it was
so
called the States General.
So
That was the French Parliament.
Counter-revolutionary by proxy is right wing. So like this right here, counter-revolutionary wars. Yeah. That's the right wing saying, hey, no, left wing. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways.
We didn't really like that was it's funny that yeah, you would compare that to a counter-revolutionary war, or but because yeah, we talked about previously is that like it's not really a thing that's happening like
Correct.
currently. Yeah, and
Right.
so previously we talked about like how Afghanistan might be, but also like at the same time it was Cuba and Chile. The country of Chile literally had like a socialist revolution that we put down. That is a counter-revolutionary war, but it happened in like 1978.
Exactly. And that's what I was gonna say is these the last instances also were South American.
Yeah. Well, and dude, Cuba is like we should probably have a whole conversation about Cuba because
Yeah, we could.
I'm a Cuba stan. Like,
Me too. Same, dude. All
yeah,
right. So last time also we didn't talk much about the various forms of economic and cultural exploitation because this is the thing is like this is a reality, and actually this I didn't say last time, but the reality is we as white dudes in America, we don't suffer from a lot of economic or cultural exploitation. Do you think you do?
no,
Exactly. Like we're all being economically exploited. Like that's just a collective thing. So like, that's all of us. But I don't feel like I'm being culturally exploited.
yeah, and so I want to bring it back to the beginning of this quote because it was something that I wanted to say about unregulated capitalism, and that is what is it goes literally from the beginning of the quote to the end of the quote is like what matters the exploitation. Who do you think is causing the exploitation in this capitalist system? It's the people who control the regulations.
Exactly.
Yeah. So sorry, like that, yeah, I just really get it's the anarchy thing. Like, yeah, that was a meme I showed you earlier, and I want to kind of get into that as a whole conversation. But it's the idea that like unregulated capitalism is a thing, or like an anarchist society is a thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Let's go down that route. Like I want to be informed.
Oh man, dude, I saw this thing earlier that was talking about how like uh college students are turning liberal, and it's like because they're being educated, and once they get an education they turn out to be liberal. Hmm.
Uh yeah, that's
Okay.
okay. Should we move to the next quote because
Yeah, let's
we're
do
just
that.
agreeing with each other at this point.
All right. So this next one is by Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is awesome because everyone knows who he is, and if you are not a hater or stupid, you should love him. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, seriously.
So he said, "How sad it must be believing that scientists, scholars, historians, economists, and journalists have devoted their entire lives to deceiving you, while a reality TV star with decades of fraud and exhaustively documented lying is your only beacon of truth and honesty." Do you want to start?
I don't really. Well, yeah, it's obviously like just a generalization about anti-intellectualism, and I literally had like there's video like about American anti-intellectualism. It's like a very uh specific, like uniquely American thing. And
It
so,
is.
sorry, what's it say at the end? Yeah, that's all I was saying.
So yeah, he lists these things: scientists, scholars, historians, economists, and journalists. And so what we were saying is that in reality, they all fall under the umbrella of anti-intellectualism.
Yeah.
Anti-journalism or yeah, I don't know, economists. Yeah. But yeah, either way, it's just anti-intellectualism. And the scope is that it includes all of these different people: scientists, scholars, historians, economists, and journalists. Like, And it reminds me of this thing that or this sentiment that I've seen on TikTok, and I want to share it with you. And it's like, dude, scientists and like historians and like people like that, they don't wake up with like maliciousness in their heart. And like, they like
right?
scientists go to work every day to try to figure stuff out and help people.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh God. That literally goes into the I'm sorry, but I really hate it when people chastise Fauci because dude's just literally been like a scientist for the last like 40 years, just
right.
doing science and healthcare. And like people want to paint him like he's this monster. Sorry.
See, and my whole thing is like there's someone that I personally can't stand and have not talked about him a lot. But yeah, like Elon, I think might be the most evil person in existence. And not only that, this is an original thought. I saw someone say this. They were saying they think Andrew Tate is the most dangerous person in the world. And they gave like a solid argument around that and this, that, and the other. And I've been watching a lot of stuff about the manosphere and things like that. But I actually think Elon Musk is the most dangerous person in the world. And it's because of his unfettered access to the highest level of American government. And like, yeah, I just don't know. I need to do more research into fascism to like really understand and be able to explain how what is happening right now is actually fascism, because what we had under Biden and this, that, and the other was not fascism.
Yeah, it was neoliberal capitalism.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dang it. Yeah. No, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I really don't. It just like to wrap it up. I don't understand like to what like where you start like people like not liking Neil deGrasse, and it's like he's credentialed as fuck, and like yeah. Oh yeah, no. So this goes into the Trump and Elon thing. Like, dude, he's not even an American citizen. He has
Oh yeah.
he has dual South African and Canadian citizenship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people probably didn't know that, but yeah. He has dual citizenship from South Africa and Canada.
Right.
And he is the like CEO of SpaceX X, or formerly known as Twitter. These are American-based companies, and he's not an American citizen. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, don't get me started on Elon Musk.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying is like, oh, and that's why I brought it up is like, if you're going to demonize someone, Fauci's not the one.
Yeah.
I got one for you. His name's Elon Musk. He's from South fucking Africa.
Yeah. No, there was the Kendrick meme that I just saw where it was like, hey Kendrick, I heard Elon Musk was talking shit about you.
I saw the same thing, but it was Donald Trump. He was like, hey, Kendrick, I heard Donald Trump was talking shit about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have this long ass quote from Landman. And so I'll get started on my part, and then we can talk about it, and then we'll go to your part and we'll talk about it. Sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay. So you want to guess how much oil it takes to lubricate that fucking thing or winterize it? In its 20-year lifespan, it won't offset the carbon footprint of making it. And don't get me started on solar panels and the lithium in your Tesla battery. And never mind the fact that if the whole world decided to go electric tomorrow, we don't have the transmission lines to get electricity to the cities. It'd take 30 years if we started tomorrow. And unfortunately for your grandkids, we have a 120-year petroleum-based infrastructure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, really, the only point I would make is that, like, at the end there, talking about the petroleum-based infrastructure is literally why, like, again, and I kind of mentioned this previously, but I didn't go further into it. It's why Saudi Arabia has been able to, basically be the dominant provider of oil for like the last 50 years. But there's Oman, Yemen. There are so many other countries around there that are like oil rich. And it's because they were giving the infrastructure to extract the oil in Saudi Arabia because they had diplomatic relationships. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, so what God damn it. I had a point about the Saudi thing because
Petroleum infrastructure, maybe? No.
oh yeah. So the thing about it is it created a position of leverage for all of these nations. And so that's what it really was, is like they had this leverage over their diplomatic relations with America because not now, and we've talked about this, we're at an energy surplus, but back in these days when we counted on Saudi for all of our oil and shit like that.
Yeah.
It was because every single product that we made required some kind of petroleum.
Yeah. Well, that's the quote I'm gonna get to. Do you want? Were you trying to tee me up?
No, because you went to the end of mine right away, and so yeah, I highlighted this part. So lubricating that thing and winterizing it, that's maintenance. And that is, he says how much oil it'll take to do that. And so, like, yeah, we said it previously, but that video got blocked, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, dude, that's just maintenance. Well, and it still requires petroleum.
So the quote also says that it's clean energy. He's like, it's not clean energy at all. It's alternative energy. Do you know how much? Yeah, again, the carbon footprint of just having that windmill will not be offset.
So the part of the quote that you reference actually isn't even written down. It's like before that. So, but yeah, it does say in its 20 years lifespan, it won't offset the carbon footprint of making it. And so that's kind of the main point, is like it's going to sit there for 20 years and generate wind power, but it's still not going to matter because of how much oil it took to make it, how much oil it takes to maintain it and keep it running. Yeah, and then it goes on, talks about the lithium in your Tesla battery and something else. So like China is a main producer of lithium, and like lithium mines in China are not a good environmental thing. So like, again, it's about having like perspective and realizing like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be drilling for oil in South Dakota, but at the same time, China's mining for lithium in a very bad way. So what are we talking about?
And this is a totally different point, but like this is actually, well, it's related because like those windmills we talked about they're just massive. The platform, the concrete platform,
Yeah.
just building that requires a ridiculous amount of oil. But sorry, other random point I wanted to make is like the gargantuan thing that we were talking about. They are 100 feet tall. Those windmills are huge.
400 feet tall.
400 feet tall. You brought up the lithium mines. Dude, have you seen the excavators? Again, the machines, excavators that have tires that are taller than you. That's the tire. And like these things are just, again, people don't have the perspective. Like they just don't understand like the reality of this.
Yes. And actually, you saying that is a good tee up for you reading the second part of the quote, because you just said people don't realize the reality of it. And that is like exactly how yours ends. So you can go ahead if you want.
I didn't even realize that, but yeah, I'll go. So our whole lives depend on it. And hell, it's in everything.
Don't read slow.
That road we came in on, the wheels on every car ever made, including yours, it's in tennis rackets and lipstick and refrigerators and antihistamines, pretty much anything plastic, your cell phone case, artificial heart valves, any kind of clothing that's not made with plant or animal fibers, soap, fucking hand lotion, garbage bags, fishing boats, you name it, every fucking thing. And you know what the kicker is? We're going to run out of it before we find its replacement. Sorry, I'm not good at reading.
No, and I'm glad that I interrupted at the beginning to make sure you didn't read slow, because you didn't after I said it.
Wasn't planning on it, but that's fine.
Started slow, so
I lecture every day. So
all right. So, anyways, also what I was gonna say is this is from Landman, and I hope this video doesn't get blocked or whatever on YouTube.
We should,
for copyright reasons.
We should contest our next copyright strike if that happens.
Yeah, I agree. And so this whole quote is from Landman, and it's a really good show. And yeah, so watch it. But the point of the second part of that quote reiterates the last sentence of the first part. So it says, we have a 120-year petroleum-based infrastructure. And you know why that is? Because it's in fucking everything.
Yeah. And yeah, this is another situation where I feel like I could agree with people on the right, because like alternative energy, electric, solar, wind, hydro is pretty good. Hydroelectricity is like literally what made this country, but we're running out of water. So
that makes me say we need to figure out tidal.
Hold on, let me finish. The sad reality is that we're going to have to rely on fossil fuels for a long time, probably.
So with us running out of water, that is the truth. But the oceans are, I
live in Phoenix. Sorry.
Even though they're receding, they're still there. And so that's my thing, is like tidal energy. We need to figure out how to harness and use tidal energy.
And also desalinization.
Of what body of water?
They're already doing it in California.
Of like the Salton Sea and shit, or like what are you talking about?
The Salton Sea, sir. No, the Pacific. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if that's a giant body of water, I don't know. Like Laguna Beach, like what bay they're specific. San Francisco Bay. Like, I don't know where they're. There is a desalinization project going on in California somewhere. I'm sorry, they have a giant coastline. I don't know specifically which body of water.
Don't be sorry. Thank you. Because
Yeah.
you know me, I like to do my research,
Well,
and so
yeah,
now
you
I have
kinda
something to research.
yeah. There is, because that was actually something, a really cool hypothetical that they did in Man in the High Tower. They literally like the Nazis won. They desalinated the Mediterranean Sea and turned Africa into one big plantation. Like, it was crazy. Yeah.
I know. I talked about this as a hypothetical, and like in my science class, I literally talked about. So that's the thing, is like it was a Nazi plan to
Yeah.
desalinate the Mediterranean Sea
Yep.
and turn Africa into a plantation.
Yeah. That's crazy, right? Yeah. But like,
So fucking insane.
a lot of people don't know about that. Like, it was legitimate, like you just said. Like, I'm not surprised that you knew about that, because again, it was recreated. They did it in that show, because again, like, if you've seen that show, the Nazis win. So yeah.
I thought they didn't do it in the show. I thought they got up to that point and they didn't, but yeah. You remember shows better than I do, so.
Yeah. They actually might have been in the planning phase.
Oh man, I think we're done, right?
Yeah, you don't have any more quotes, right?
No. No, I don't.
No, that's good. All right.
All right.
So, with that being said,
Knowledge is power.